Hello, in this video we are going to see how to scrape monster.com. So let's start a Scrapy project, which is a very standard procedure. So we can see here we are in a directory called monster, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the Scrapy command. Okay, I can see the instructions here. Scrapy gen start project, and let's call this monster. And we can see here that it created a few directories for us. So then tell us to go to cd monster and then Scrapy gen spider. So Scrapy gen spider, and we will call it monster and monster.com, and actually it will tell us now that we cannot do that. So let's give it a name like monster spider, or yep. Good. So now it says created spider, monster spider using template basic in here, monster spiders, monster spider. So let's see what is the structure of the directories here. We have the top level directory, we are already in it. You can see here monster and scrapy.config. Okay, so we'll just click to be in here. You can see monster Scrapy, and in there we have some items, settings and things like that that we don't need to change. And in there we have a spiders directory where there is this master.spider, and this is what we are going to work with. So let's open this with our favorite text editor, and let's go and open spiders, monster spider. Okay, so what we can see here is the basic template for a spider. So it has a start URL, and then it has the domain in which it's going to restrict its search. So this is monster.com, and the name. So it's a very simple template. And now let's try to run this and see what happens. So how to do that? Scrapy, we are on this directory, right? So the directory with monster and scrapy.config, and we do Scrapy crawl and then the name of the spider, monster spider. Nice, and we can see some output. So now it hit this URL, http://monster.com, and we can see here that there was a redirect to https www.monster.com, and this is exactly what we expected. If we make it print hi here, it should print hi. Here it is. And actually we can use -l warn in order to remove all those debug outputs, so we can see that it's much easier now. Hi, so it just gives us the relevant things. Good. So now we understand how to create a simple spider and how to run it, and let's go and see a little bit the structure of the monster website. So we need a location here, and we can choose USA, and then keyword or title, and we want project manager. So now we click search. Let's see what happens. Okay, so we can see here a very interesting list of results and load more jobs here. So let's click on this. We can see that it loads. Good, and it's quite fast. And what happens when I click load more jobs? It gets more jobs as expected. Good. So this is the main results we want, and we can see here that there is a starting URL that has an interesting structure. So we can see here page 3. This is interesting. Let's open it here and see what happens. So we can see Q product manager, where USA, then got some very weird stuff in here, and what we are wondering naturally is what happens if I use this one. Okay, so it takes me to the same page, so it does a redirect for the job ID, but otherwise it shows me this, which is not bad at all. So I'm wondering what will happen now if I use this as a start URL here. So when this page loads, the output will be in response.body. Let's see what the output will be. Okay, not bad. So we can see here all the HTML output, and what I'm wondering is if it has all this information I'm looking for. So if it really contains the job descriptions, etc. So although this is not the easiest way to do it, I will just paste it here and try to run a search. So I would expect to find something like technical product manager. And we can see that I cannot find this. Okay, so I discard this, but we can see that there is some connection. But let's go to our main tool when we work with websites, which is inspect. So we click here and then inspect. Good. And so we go here to the network tab, and here we can see all the requests that happen when we load the page. For example, as before, we started with this URL, and now we'll see the URL appearing here as well. So let's do enter. Good. So you can see here many things that load, and all those details make this page work. Let's go at the very first, which is this one, and we can see the output here. Okay, so what was this? It was an HTTP request, get and yellow, so everything was loaded. Okay, and let's see if it has the technical product manager in here. Yeah, we can find the technical product manager in here. I'm wondering if we could find in here Kratos. Yes, so apparently we can find this one. Okay, so we're still familiarizing with this page. Let's see what happens when I click this load more jobs. So I click on this, and let's see what happens. Oh, this is very interesting. So we can see here JSON encoded jobs, which is beautiful because we can grab those in a much more easy way, if this makes sense. So we can see the URL here has Q product manager where USA is dynamic page. So this probably is the trick. Is MK pagination. I don't know what that is, and then page equals 2. So let's try to see what happens with this URL. So if I put in this URL in Scrapy, let's see what happens. This is a long one. Maybe I could split it into 2 parts, or even 3 parts. Okay, and again response.body. Okay, so we can see here some output, and this looks like JSON encoded data. How do I know that? I can see here this on the conclusion. So looks pretty JSON encoded to me. So I can read those easily if I could do JSON load s. And of course this is a binary string, so I will need to do a decode, but let's see the bug first. Okay, but we can see that this is not easily readable, so let's also import a pprint from pprint. Okay, so let's see the output now. Much better. So what we can see here is very interesting, because It has all the details we would like to have, really. Um, and you can see here it has links, text, it has postcode, location click, job view URL, so it can take us to the detail page, but also here is the job summary as well. So I can see here, for example, this job view URL, and I'm wondering what will happen if I try to open this one. So nice, I get some really nice text. But this also makes me wonder what happens when I click in one of those pages, in one of those links in this list. Maybe it has some clever way to give us JSON instead. So let's try, for example, to click on this one and see what happens. So network, and let's see. So you can see some GIFs, which is interesting. This means that this is why it's so fast. It actually just shows this data. It doesn't load the entire page. But this is unusual because it shouldn't have all those details for later pages. So let's try this one more time. Inspect, network, okay, and try to click on this. Oh, and we can see now it loaded some stuff. Okay, this looks good. So again, pixel, and then request URL. And let's see if they have this text, for example, in here. Okay, not bad. So it is possible that if we manage to format this in this URL format, we will be able to get the desired output in JSON format, which is easier than scraping HTML, so text out of the HTML. So if we check this URL, we can see that this is so complex, and let's open it here in the explicit text and see what happens. So it has many components, so it has some JS30 flow here, and then some weird stuff, and then end job ID. This is interesting. And then it has end callback. So what I'm wondering is what will happen if we give it just those two. Can it work without me giving it all this search path? You never know, it might be possible, so let's try to see. Okay, so I can see some HTML here, and let's see if it contains the text, the same text, creating development documentation. Okay, so it looks like if I use the job ID, I get a nice formatted JSON. And I'm wondering also what happens if I get rid of the callback. If we are lucky and it can work without it, you see this jQuery is used here in the beginning, and then the JSON formatted string follows. If we skip this callback and it doesn't give us this prefix, it would be the best option, I think. So just job ID here, yes. Perfect, okay. So this is a JSON string and it has the text we wanted. And this is very good because we can easily parse this string, and I would guess that if I take what I already have and I manage to find a job ID like this one, for example, so this is 9953. Okay, and let's see if it has the text. Yeah. Okay, not bad. So how did I know this trick with removing the callback over here? The answer is I know because probably this is how I would design this one. So this is the optional JSON P format, and if they have designed the API well enough, they should support JSON P and without JSON P. So good for them and good for us. So let's try to understand a little bit what we have here, because already we have a pretty good idea how we can go about this website. So first of all, we start with a URL like that. Okay, but here we see page 2. We can create as many pages as we want. Let's create, for example, 10 pages. Dot format I for I in range from 1 to 11. Okay, so this will create many URLs for us, and those have this structure as we saw over here when we did load S. And from this one, all we need is just the job ID. So let's see if this works. For result in results, print result and job ID. Let's see if this works. So I would expect to get quite a few job IDs here. Actually, probably let's put I plus 1 here to simplify this expression and just crawl 2 pages. Okay, so I would expect to see 20 job IDs when I run now. And we can see my old Python habits. So what is funny is that right now Scrapy gives us service unavailable, which is quite weird. So this could mean either that they banned this machine or they're really down. So we're going to use some basic scraping tutorial techniques. So we can use actually this technique from the tutorial a little bit below the middle, where it says a shortcut for creating a request. So since we will download the main pages, what used to be on the bar on the left, this bar, by doing this request, then we will need for each job ID to do the second request that gives us this JSON. So how do we do that? As the website said, yield response.follow, and then I will name this parse detail. Next URL, and what is the format of the next URL? The next URL will have this, so it will be this string, but the job ID will be the job ID we had from the first phase. And again, let's break the string a little bit to make it more readable. Okay, and then for this one, let's observe a little bit this URL. What does it say? It says company info. We probably don't need this. Actually, let's beautify this again with an online beautifier, JSON beautifier. So online JSON beautifier process. Okay, follow media links. This doesn't look interesting. Description. This looks interesting. Name. Let's collapse company. Videos. Do I want the videos? I don't think so. Images. Contact. Okay, this is the summary of the job. This is nice. So pro diversity false. This is funny. Login page URL. Okay, info, location, job type. Okay, salary. Job description. I like the job description. So this is at the same level as company info. It has the job description and it has full HTML text. This looks good. Job ID. You see AO expired. Okay. So we can see quite a few fields, more than we would like. This is very good though. Yeah, you can go extract everything you like, but for now I will just keep the job description. So I will say result equals this, and let's write description equals this, and this way I export this job description part, which is again an HTML. And let's also get the job ID. Result of job ID. And we would also like, let's say, the title. These are actually all interesting. So let's take all those info fields. They look nice. So we can see that those are a little bit more nested. So let's extract from here the summary. Summary equals result summary, and then from summary I will take the info part, or we can actually merge those two and name this info. And then we have all those nice attributes. So for I in info we have I of title and I of text. So this will be location, job type, etc. And this looks good for now. I would say let's create an object here, a dictionary, so we can name these details, or since we do parse detail on the name here, let's name it detail, and then we add those values in there. Okay, so we put all those things into a dictionary. So location, job type, salary, and so we have job description here. And okay, I can't find the title, but product manager at Rust Technologies. So they name it company header. And this is, it looks also to be somewhat nested. No, it's at the same level as description. But wow, so this is inside company info. Okay, so as you can see, we can search a little bit and we will find everything we need. So we are inside company info. Company header. Okay, so we have now a little mess here. Let's tidy up. We need to populate this detail. We will take everything from the info. Let's name this job ID. Let's name this description. And let's name this company header. Let's call this title. So we populate all those fields of the detail record, and at the end we return this, return detail. Let's see if it returned, if it's back online. No, this looks like quite a serious outage for them, but when they will be back we will certainly have our scraper almost ready. So let's revise what we have here. Start URLs, we take the first two index pages for here. So this effectively like loading and then clicking once they load more jobs. So we get all those jobs and we get them in a JSON format, and we get the job ID out of them. Then for each job ID we create the URL of the format over here, and we send this to a subsequent request that calls this function parse detail, which is exactly below. And this we do exactly the same thing. We load the JSON, and probably we can reorder this a little bit. and then we extract from JSON the interesting fields for us, and we return a dictionary with those fields. And this should be enough to parse the first two pages. But also, as we start developing now, let's start a little bit small. Let's actually do just one page and one URL here. So follow up with just one request. And then we will free those up and we will be able to parse more. Okay, great. So the site seems to be back now. And let's try to run our spider. So what we can see is that it didn't parse anything, and the reason is here job ID equals 0, which is quite weird. So let's try just to print this job ID and see what happens. Okay, so we see that indeed we get some zeros. So this probably is something that we can skip for now. So you can say if job ID equals 0, just continue. Okay, we have so many others, so who cares? We enabled the response follow, that's nice, and let's see what happens next. Okay, so this gives us 404, so let's try to see what happens if we load this page. So this can't be found. So again, let's assume that this is fine, and let's go to see if we can find something. So what I'm going to do now, since it seems to be mostly working, I will enable it to parse all those URLs that the first step creates for us. Okay, good. So now we got a real bug, line 27. Here it should be result of company info, and let's do it again. Okay, not bad. So we can see here tons of output. That's fantastic. So let's do one more final thing. So I will get this URL and just see the output, because I want to get rid of all the HTML in the description. So how do I do that? I just comment this out. Okay, so now I give it this specific job ID, and the code will actually go directly to single items view. Okay, good. So we can see here that this is this huge description. So we want to do something with this description. So let me first of all go back and print this description. Print detail description. And now I will go again -l warn to get rid of most errors, most debug output. And now I will go -l warn to get rid of all the debug output. Now I should see just the description that will contain HTML elements. Okay, so here is this HTML. It's quite a bit. So let's remember that nobody prevents us from actually using Beautiful Soup for this. So if we Google for Beautiful Soup grab visible web page text, we can get this one, text from HTML. So we copy it, paste it here on top. We will not need this one. Until let's see if this function does what it promises. So detail of description equals text from HTML to detail description. Okay, so we can see some very nice clean text here, and we can see that corresponds one-to-one to what the text is here. So actually you can keep the text and the row text. So let's name this description row and this description. Yep. And we are done. So now we can bring all those back and try to crawl pages. So let's try, for example, to get 10 pages. Okay. And now I will write the output of this scroll to a file named, for example, monsters.csv. Let me see the output directory here. Okay, let's go. And so a few minutes later, actually, we end up with a huge 1.8 megabyte file. Let's double click it to see what we have. Okay, so here we are. You can see already that this description is way too verbose actually. And let's go to the beginning description row. Let's get rid of this column. Okay, much better. So we end up with 165 records, which means about 16 results per page, which is good. We see here the description, and it's a quite long field, which is exactly as it should be, so all the text is there. Job type, you can see here full-time employee, when was it posted. Actually this doesn't look very useful because it's relative time, so not very useful, but anyway. Industry is quite useful as well. Education level, what is the required education level, and career level, experienced, student, and that's really good. So these are the headers, the titles of the jobs, job IDs, and descriptions. Of course, we can move them a little bit around and have a better layout. Good. So usually we would go a little bit more with an iterative approach. We would create CSVs with less elements and everything and slowly build this up. But we went a little bit speculatively until the very end. And this is because the website was down. So now that it's up, we can clean up a little bit more. Actually, we don't need the HTML. It looks quite ugly. And now we have just title, description, and job ID. And so this is the spider. Let's recap. So first of all, we start with the start URL. We played quite a bit on the website to find the right form. Then we parse this one, we extract the job IDs, which are many, and for each job ID we create a new request with a second URL for the details. We parse the details and extract exactly what we need, and by returning a dict, Scrapy knows automatically when we add this argument here -o master.csv how to take those details and put them in a CSV file for us. We can see that we can combine Beautiful Soup and Scrapy, of course, because when we want to clean up those texts, this is an easy way to do it. We didn't have to understand how this works because we found it on the internet, it works well for us, but it's just easy to use and combine Beautiful Soup and Scrapy together. I hope you find it useful and have fun. Thanks a lot.